Hi Jason, good to see you today in the office.
Hi Darlina, very good to see you.
First and foremost, when we talk about Shell, the first thing that comes to people's mind is actually the petrol station. And perhaps if you're hands-on with your car, you might know Shell Helix, but there's certainly more to Shell Lubricants than that, right? So maybe tell us a little bit more, Jason, about Shell Lubricants.
Lubricant actually is in almost everything. So I think apart from the cars, you think about it, the main function of lubricants is to reduce friction. So think about the machinery, think about the equipment, think about as long as you got parts, you need to keep the parts moving, you need lubricants to reduce the friction.
We have a diverse portfolio and customer geography, but why are we at the best lubricant supplier in the world?
Shell Lubricants is the market leader for 18 years in a row. The good thing, or what I feel even more proud of, is we are actually number one quite evenly across the three sectors that we operate in. So one is consumer. You talk about the passenger car that we drive day in, day out. But actually we are also in commercial road transport, so the trucks. At the same time, we are also in B2B. We are market leaders in all three sectors. Why we are doing so well, I would say that there are 5 things, I would call them strategic differentiators. The first thing is that we are a very famous brand. Our brand share preference is very high. Secondly, technology. We are the first, in the market to launch, gas to liquid technology, and that we got the gas to liquid plant. It actually produces base oil, and we use the base oil to produce our lubricants as one of the key, raw material or the feedstock, for our lubricants product, and it's very, very successful. And linked to that, of course, then we have, great partnership with the OEMs. And by applying our technology to actually work with the OEMs on the next generation of product development, it always gives us the technology leadership in the space. And the last 2 is actually linked to our footprint and our people. We got our good people, we also got our distributor network in order to provide that global reach. But last but not least, we also have our assets, our global supply chain, to enable us to have competitive products to be serving to the customers. We got around 30 lube oil blending plants in the world, and at the same time, more than 10 grease plants.
How does Asia fit in the overall Shell Lubricants footprint and its growth aspiration?
If you think about growth potential, actually, it's very much in the East. Now, of course, US and Europe continue to be, our bread and butter, but growth market, you think about it, China, India, Indonesia, they all sit in this part of the world. So it's very logical that, Singapore being our regional hub.
I'm also proud that in Singapore we have one of the largest lubricants blending plant and grease plant for our portfolio, Tuas. And Tuas very proudly to say that it's not just serving the Singapore market, but also more than 40 countries globally. So tell us a little bit about why Tuas, why in Singapore? How does Singapore fit also into the whole jigsaw puzzle of this Shell Lubricants portfolio?
Asia is our growth region, and it's very important that we got enough supply chain capacity to be able to serve our customers while we are growing. So Tuas is not only lube oil blending plant, but it's also grease plant. And apart from this region, as you say, we are serving to different parts. I think in particular to Latin America, actually quite a bit. And at the same time, we are also serving Australia. We are also producing quite a lot of marine lubricants at our Tuas plant. So not only that they are serving the Shell Lubricants business, but we are also, supporting our, marine business to serve their customers in the market. Singapore is such a convenient place, to be an export hub. And so it allows us to not be just, serving customers in the region, but it's also serving customers globally.
Indeed, Tuas is really an important part of that. And in this part of the world, in Singapore particularly, the topic of sustainability and energy transition is obviously something that's very close to all our hearts. Maybe say a little bit more in terms of your ambition and what is the outlook on that for this for the business.
Yeah, so I would say that maybe look at the end-to-end value chain of the business. If we start from the raw material, Yeah, so I just mentioned that I think majority of our raw material feedstocks actually come from base oil. So what we will be actively looking for sourcing is what we call RRBO, refined recycled base oil as feedstocks. That actually already provide sustainability footprint in the product that we produce. And if we move along the value chain, then it's around the production side of the thing. And you know that, in Shell, we got a scope 1, 2 targets, to reduce our emission by 50% by 2030. We are actually making very good progress, and we are actually pretty close to that 50%. Also then look at, how we serve our customers, the product we sell, whether that is a sustainable, that's what we call scope 3. Of course, we got a very big, customer base. We should be able to help our customer to decarbonize. And last but not least, also think about the packaging. Yeah? And when you got the packaging material, whether they are recycled, and we do have deliberate effort being put there. So then it's an end-to-end process. We look at how to actually help ourselves to get even more sustainable.
So apart from sustainability, the market continue to evolve and demand continue to change with the customer needs. What's new in Shell Lubricants?
One of the hot topics is around the electrical vehicle. And to be honest, actually back in 2019, we already started to develop a good portfolio of e-fluid as well as e-greases to serve this particular segment.
Sounds like we're ready now for a customer, but also ready as the customer evolves and the demand evolves. What else is brewing in the lubricant space?
So I touched very briefly on e-fluid, for the EV cars. But actually, one of the big thing that is coming up, the exponential growth, I would say, in the Gen AI, digital AI space. And for people who need actually more computing power and all that, you will generate heat, and you actually need to be able to do better thermal management in order to manage the temperature of the operation. Can you share more about immersion cooling fluid and what are we doing about it at the moment?
Yeah, so the key word in this space is partnership. We've been signing a lot of non-binding MOUs with many different parties to be able to look at solutions in the entire ecosystem of data center, to be able to really address some of the electricity requirements, water efficiency, as well as the thermal management as you spoke about. And Shell Immersion Fluid plays a very important role in there as an alternative or even better solution than what we currently have in terms of cooling the data center.
Definitely. So, you probably are aware globally, we do have different partnerships as well, right? So, with Intel, we already, got the preliminary exclusive certification from them, so which means that we're already getting to the final stage of the testing with them. And at the same time, we already announced close collaboration with BYD in China as well. So I do look forward to hearing more good news from Asia going forward.